Hey everyone, it's Digital Duke, and welcome back to my channel where, guess what? I actually won the Chalislime Monthly! Yes! But it wasn't just me. So if you don't know the story, I actually got into MBT's, Chalislime Monthly tournament. How? I don't even know why, but I did. So, yeah, I entered in thinking, like, okay, I'm just gonna do it just for fun. And I ended up playing Earth Machine here, and I'll go over the deck profile here as well. But basically, um, I did round one, and then I ended up winning round one. But then after that, if none of you know the situation, there was a problem with Challenge, and the MC bot that they were using for it was working fine, but for some reason Challenge decided to duplicate all matches for some unknown reasons because of an issue with the buys that they were giving people. Because like you could pay for buys, you could pay for all the buys and stuff like that. You want well not all buys, but like round one buys, $15 Patreons, you can redeem buys. So okay. So they end up doing that, and for some reason, they didn't it didn't register the buys, as so they had to do a bunch of dummy accounts, and when they did that, that ended up going into a spiral as well because, well, it just kind of for some reason the bracket duplicated underneath the other bracket, and they could not actually end up fixing it within an hour, so they just decided to can the whole thing. But technically speaking, about 75 people won that tournament, and like I MBT went through like basically like scrolled through like all the deck lists on his stream that just happened. As of recording this, it was yesterday that he did that. The 24th, yeah, the 24th. Um, so yeah, it was either the 24th or 23rd, one of those two. Anyway, so yeah, we ended up winning the whole thing. Technically, didn't get anything. But yeah, I can say I won a Challenge Slime Monthly. So I guess I'll go over my deck list right now, and then I'll actually go over my one replay that I have for my for my tournament winning match. So obviously Earth Machine is a very heavy resource deck. We end up using a lot of resources in our combos, but we also try to make sure to actually use those to our advantage and actually conserve our resources. So there are a lot of ways to actually just loop your cards a lot. We have a resource loop that involves a couple cards that I'll show you in a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty. The deck's not easy to play. I'm not going to beat around the bush. It takes a while to actually learn. Sometimes you need to figure out, oh hey, does this combo work over this? As such, you have to play accordingly depending on the matchup a lot of the time. So, without further ado, let's just get into the deck profile. So we run one Machina Citadel, is a boss monster. One Super Express Bullet Train. This is an extender. Love this card. It's also part of the resource loop. Two Heavy Freight Train Derrick Crane. This is a chain blocker for your normal summons. And it also is rank 10 fodder. Three Machina Metal Cruncher. This is one of the normal summons of the deck. It's a really good normal summon at that. Adds one of three random Earth Machine monsters of your picking from your deck to your hand. Normally you pick three Dozer, and then you get Dozer anyway. So in certain cases, it's just a free search. So I love this card. Two Machina Fortress. Some people opt to only run one Fortress, but I end up running two because it actually is a Unbreaker at the same time as being just like a body, and even its own semi-boss monster as well, because if your opponent targets this, it rips a card out of their hand, and then on top of that, this thing's summon does not activate, so it doesn't start a chain at all. Then finally, if this is destroyed by battle, you target a card on your opponent controls destroyed. This thing's insanity when you actually have enough resources to loop it. Now, yes, granted, you do have to have the resources to keep going with this, but a lot of the times, Fortress is really good, and some decks just cannot out Fortress. There's a reason why this card was good when Shaddolls were a big thing, back when BAs and all them were released in meta. So then we run one Tunneler. Tunneler is part of the resource loop. You contribute an Earth Machine monster, special summon from the hand. That's all the level 5 Infinitrix. And then you can banish it from the graveyard, then target 5 Earth Machine monsters in the graveyard, shuffle in the deck, then draw 2. This is how you draw into the traps most of the time, or just some combo pieces for the next turn. So Tunneler's insane, but you never run more than one because this thing is a prick. Then we run 3 Brutal Dozer. This is standard. 3 Brutal Dozer, it's the best card in the whole deck. Basically, this is what allows all the combos to go off smoothly. Because this thing specials an Infinitrack from deck, most of the time Trencher. And that alone enables a rank 5, which is River Stormer, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, the best card in the deck, play it. 2 Trencher. Some people run 3, some people run 1. I opt for 2 because 3 it's a little bit too bricky for me, and at 1 it's always never enough, so I decided 2 is a happy balance. Banish it from the graveyard, standard Infinitrack effects, and then you can banish it from the graveyard, special summon Infinitrack from the graveyard in defense position, so that enables Anchor Drill combos or Harvester combos. And then, speaking of Anchor Drill, 1 Anchor Drill. Discards normal special summon Earth Machine monster from the hand in defense position, except itself, so this thing enables your bigger boss monsters. It can summon Citadel from the hand for free. It can summon Brutal Dozer, and Brutal Dozer does in fact trigger if it's special summon from the hand. It doesn't matter by what card effect. You can summon a Machina Metal Cruncher and get a search off of that as well. You can summon the box even, and that enables your Dingirsu play. Or you could even summon the Harvester, which I'll get to this in a minute. And yeah, this thing's good, but it's not. You don't ever want to draw like multiples of this. As such, we only run the 1, and yeah, that's my reason for this. This card's good though when you have the stuff in your hand to keep going. Then 1 box. This is the next part of the resource loop. This is the main part of it. If this card is added from the deck or graveyard to your hand, except by drawing it, you can add 1 Earth Machine monster with 500 attack and /or defense from deck to your hand. Except box. You can only use this effect once per turn. This thing is insane because this can search out a Tunneler, it can search out a Trencher, it can search the Anchor Drill. It searches out all the other Infinitrack aside from Brutal Dozer and Harvester. But this is what you need it for, because this alone is a resource loop with Bullet Train, because Bullet Train during the end phase adds a machine monster from the graveyard to your hand, and since this triggers from adding from graveyard to hand as well, we got a small loop going there. Triple Ash Blossom, standard. And here's the Harvester. This is the next normal sum of the deck. This thing, I don't know what else to say about this card other than it is really good. This on normal or special summon adds any Infinitrack from deck to hand. So this adds Dozer. Or, if you wanted to get a little bit spicy, Anchor Drill. That's about it. Don't really add anything else off of this thing. But Dozer is the entire heart and soul of the deck. So in order to search it, we have 6 searchers so far. Which, a lot of the time, good enough. Then we have Triple Machina redeployment. This either discards a card to add 2 Machina monsters with different names from deck to hand, or discard a Machina card and add 2 Machina cards with different names. And the second effect of that, it doesn't normally come up really at all. Like, it could come up, technically speaking. Like, okay, you have a Harvester and you have a Metal Cruncher in hand. Okay, normal summon Harvester at Dozer, activate redeployment, discard Metal Cruncher, and then you get to add the trap card along with something. But normally, what you do with this is you search out Citadel and Fortress because those two together are one of the best combos the deck has. It's a setup and it's a body on the field. It's a pretty big one at that, and it's even a disruption if you ram it into a bigger monster. So then we have triple urgent schedule. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, special summon one level 4 or lower and one level 5 or higher Earth Machine monster from your deck in defense position, but negate their effects, and you cannot declare attacks the turn you activate this card except with machines. Then, if this set card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one level 10 machine monster from your deck to your hand. It doesn't matter who the card effect is activated from, it's just if it's sent. So technically speaking, for your Ballista, you technically can get the second effect off, which is really funny. So yeah, but that effect doesn't come up at all, really. It's the first effect what you want to do. Normally, this is kind of a pseudo trap card, but also this is a very good going second card as well after your opponent summons their board. You can activate this and then summon 2 from deck, and all of a sudden you got fodder for both the Infinitrax and Link plays. So this card's good, just flat out. Triple heavy forward. This adds any Infinitrax from deck to hand on activation. And then once per turn, because the adding from deck to hand isn't enough, you can target a Machine Xyz monster. Doesn't have to be a Infinitrax, and activate one of these effects. Change battle position or attach this card to it as material. You basically always do the second effect. The first effect has really never come up whatsoever. But I digress. So yeah, heavy forward. Heavy forward is really good because if you draw either Harvester or Metal Cruncher, then this thing ends up adding. You can add Brutal Dozer off of this by baiting it. This can be a bait, or you can even use the monster to bait, because I'm pretty sure the opponent is more than likely to negate the monster effect than the spell effect. So technically speaking, what you could do is normal Harvester, activate Harvester effect to search. They could ash that, okay, fine, activate heavy forward, I get the search anyway. And all of a sudden, they just wasted their Ash Blossom, go into Brutodozer and start going. And also, if you were wondering, yes, we summon a lot in this deck, but Nibiru does not really matter. Not at all. Sure, it can come up sometimes, but most of the time, we have enough stuff to play around Nibiru, even when they actually do it on, like, the end of main phase. We can still pull out of that relatively well. So, okay. Next we have, for the traps, Triple Torrential Tribute. This is the best board nuke currently, in my opinion, is the best board nuke in the game right now. Only because it is a trap card and you can choose when to activate it. And for this deck, this thing is insanity because it destroys machines, which triggers Citadel, and in turn, during the end phase, will actually trigger the Bullet Train as well. So this thing, I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards. 2 Machina Overdrive. Target one machine monster you control. Special summon a Machina monster with a different name from your hand or deck, and if you do, destroy the targeted monster. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 3 of your machine monsters that are banished and /or in the graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and draw a card. You can only use 1 effect per turn, and only once that turn. Okay, yes, the restriction on it, the 1 effect per turn once that turn, that sucks, but this thing is amazing. It's too amazing not to run. This gets you into your Citadel if you're not actually able to get into it. Gets you a Metal Cruncher with full attack points, so 2,800. So there's fodder for the Citadel if you need it. And then you get a free search off of the Metal Cruncher as well, so that's good. Or, you technically speaking can get Fortress with this. I don't know why you would, but you can. Well, I mean, I guess if you run out of targets in deck, then yeah. But either way, this destroys a machine on the field, which is the best part about this card, because the Citadel, while it's in the graveyard of a face-up Earth Machine monster you control, is destroyed by battle or card effect. While it's in the graveyard, you can special summon it. And then its field effect is you can target a machine monster you control, destroy both that machine monster and all monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. And then that's a quick effect. So this thing's a board nuke as well, but what I do sometimes is actually activate Citadel, target the Metal Cruncher I get off of the Overdrive, and that's a combo. Most of the time you're going to be using Citadel targeting itself to blow itself up, but it doesn't really matter if you just decide to blow up the Citadel for the extra 200 or you blow up the Metal Cruncher just because your opponent doesn't have anything that's higher than 28. It's fine either way. You get free advantage off of it. Then we run the one trap trick. This is for the normal traps, obviously. So I just thought, hey, trap trips good. I made deck order only because of like the heavy spell decks that are coming in these days now. Like I understand like it may be a pretty bad idea to main deck order, but for me it's actually come up way too many times in game one to opt to not run it, and it's such a blowout card when the opponent's playing something like, I don't know, the occasional Sky Striker player, or even some of the more rogue decks. These days they're playing a couple spells, quite a few like powerhouse spell cards. So yeah, this thing just says no. And yes, I technically could play Fragrance instead, and Fragrance is a 3-of, but I really don't want to put that many cards in my deck. 42 enough already is it's already pushing the limits of how much you could run. Yes, technically speaking, could you run 60 card machine? Yes. Have I tried that? No, not yet. If I were to, I'd probably add in something along the lines of the Despot engine, because again, Despot's not for Halka 5-Rex actually. I'd add it in because of the Dozer and the Infinitrack tributing. It's pretty good actually, for that. And also O1 is just funny to see it like buttloads of attack points at its final form when you swarm the field with machines, and all of a sudden your opponent looks at O1, who is currently at like, I don't know, 3,500, and then technically speaking, if you had O3 on the field, then like you boosted another 1,000 to 4,500, and all of a sudden you got a O1 that can beat over anything. He's a train in of itself, and he's a level 1. So that's funny. And finally, 3 Solemn Strike, because yeah, this thing's too important not to run. And for the extra deck, we have 1 Zeus, 1 Lieb, 1 Dora, 1 Gustav. So the 3 Super Dreadnoughts. This is standard for rank 10 trains, and it's standard for my deck. All 3 of these cards, even the Dora, which some people opt to not run the Dora. Dora is the best control card for Earth Machine, period, because if you have Derek Green under it, it's a disruption, and if not, it still has a 4K defense that will become unaffected by card effects on your opponent's turn. It is insanity. And then we have 1 Earth Slicer. This is the blowout card. This is the I'm going to get rid of your field. When this card destroys a opponent's monster by battle, you can attach it to material, and then you can detach any number of materials from this card, target that many cards on the field, destroy them. And then if it's in the graveyard, you contribute a Machine Link monster and special summon in defense mode. That one doesn't come up a lot, but it technically can. And if you have this on the field, you technically can switch it to attack position. And if you're tributing any Link monsters, you're probably tributing the Goliath. And Goliath, when sent from field to grave, targets an Xyz monster and attaches it to that as material. And while it's attached to it, the monster that it's attached to can't be destroyed by card effects if the original type is Machina. That alone turns some of the cards in here into powerhouses. If you attach this thing to like a Zeus or even a Dora or the Earth Slicer, this means that Zeus can't be destroyed by card effects. That's amazing. Now, have I ever attached the Goliath to Zeus? A couple times. Does it come up a lot? No, because your normal combo, you don't use the Xyz as much unless you can make it, and in which case, turn 1, you go Dora. But technically speaking, if you're in a pinch, you can go Zeus and then attach this to the Zeus, and it can't be destroyed by card effects. Yeah, that's fun. And then we have one Phantom Fortress under Blathnir. If I can make this turn one, which you can't really, because most of the time you're going to be having your Dozer and Dozer locks into Earth Machine, but Enter Blathnir is cool. It can rip a card out of your opponent's hand, which in the late game is actually a very good thing. So I never go without my Enter Blathnir. It comes up way too many times. Then we have one Dengirsu for the Anchor Drill plus box play only. I sometimes don't even use the send one card your opponent controls as a graveyard effect. Sometimes I actually attach a banished machine to it because it can reattach the Trencher, it can reattach the Tunneler, and if your opponent's playing freaking Shadal and decides, oh hey, I'm gonna get a free easy win by banishing the Citadel and then like the Bullet Train or and whatever else, you can attach the Citadel and watch them cry. I did that once. It was funny. And then we have Flare Metal Dragon, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. This is only because you can make Greg 7s, and I need a 7 that you can hard make. Why do we have this? Well, because you can overlay it on top of this on turn 2, just to get a little bit more advantage. So yeah, Gaia Dragon, no need to say about anything about Gaia Dragon. But anyway, back to Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. This thing is only because it puts your opponent on a clock. And also, it can't be disturbed by card effects while it has Exceeds material. The 500 burn is just insult to injury. This thing is hilarious. I don't normally bring this thing out, but it's cool when I do because it makes the opponent really think about their moves really carefully. So the aforementioned Gaia Dragon, and then we have Infinitrack River Stormer. This is the best card in the X deck by far. Destroys same Infinitrack Exceeds effect, destroys an opponent's monster at battle, attach it to it as material, and then you can attach a material from it to take an Earth Machine monster from the deck and either add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard. And then if it's in the graveyard, you contribute an one Machine Link monster, special summon it. Same effect as normal. Okay. We don't need to say anything about that, but the detach one to take an Earth Machine and either add it or send to the graveyard, that's the best effect in the whole deck. Then we have one double-headed Anger Knuckle. This is the final part of the resource loop. During the main phase, quick effect, take one monster, you can send one monster to hand or field to the graveyard, then target a one level 10 machine monster in your graveyard, special summon in a defense position but negate its effects. And then if this card is to the graveyard, you can send one card from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon this card, and you can only use one of those two effects per turn, only once that turn. The resource loop effect is the first effect, so basically, on your opponent's turn, you revive the bullet, and then if the bullet gets destroyed in any way, shape, or form, bullet add back box. Because Anger Knuckle, technically speaking, can send the box to the graveyard to summon the bullet, and then bullet, when it's sent, adds box during the end phase, and then box adds anything from deck to hand with 500 attack or defense. That's the resource loop. It's a pretty cool resource loop, honestly. Now how do you get the box? You get the Ballista. The Ballista is 2 Earth Machine monster. If it's linked summon, you can add 1 Ancient Gear monster or 1 Gear Town for your deck to your hand. You add the box. This thing's only purpose in this deck is to say add 1 Ancient Gear box from your deck to your hand. And then you can, its other effect, which, funny enough, technically speaking, this can win games, if you can get it off anyway. You can target a Spell/Trap card you control, one face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy that card you control. If you do, change the opponent's monster to attack, defense, 0 until the end of the turn. I actually ended up running my Dragon Link opponent. This wasn't in the tournament, but in one game that I did with this deck, my opponent was playing Dragon Link, and I ended up actually running them through almost all of their stuff. And literally the only thing they had on the field left was a Savage with no negates left on it. I activated Ballista, targeted the Savage, sent the Urgent Schedule to the graveyard, and then I ended up beating over the Savage and having my Bullet Train still. It was quite amazing. I didn't think I was going to win that game until it's like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, that's the thing. And also, technically speaking, you can just destroy a heavy forward, because again, continuous spell. So it's not really, this heavy forward isn't doing much when it's like just sitting on the field. So might as well give it some use if you don't want to attach it to something. And then triple Goliath. This is mandatory for the Tunneler. You need 3 Goliath. That is mandatory. No getting out of running 3 Goliath. Now, onto the side deck. Triple Lancia, 2 Meister, 1 Beatrice, because technically speaking I can make a 6, so I'll side this in and out depending on the matchup. 1 Feather Duster, triple Dark Ruler no more, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, because I put this in here solely because it's MBT's tournament. People are going to be playing Mystic Mine. I mean, freaking Jeff Leonard was there and everything, so yeah, I needed to be safe. And finally, Triple Dimensional Barrier, because this is a funny lock. And so, yeah, that's it for the deck profile, and now we can get on to the replays. So, first, this is the game 1, and my hand is pretty good here. So, on lower side of the Metal Cruncher, activate Metal Cruncher effect, add Dozer, and then activate Dozer effect. Oh yeah, my opponent is in fact playing Beat Trooper. So summon Dozer, Dozer effect, summon Trencher, and then overlay for Stormer, Stormer effect, attach Trencher, add the Bullet Train, and then we're going to do some links off here. We're going to go into Ballista after doing a couple links to add Box, and then Box effect, add Tunneler. Tunneler effect, we're going to attribute that to go with the Trencher, and then we're going to summon the Dozer. And we're going to link those two off into 2 Goliath, and then go into Knuckle, then summon Fortress, and then activate Tunneler, shuffling back 4 links to draw 2. We end up drawing a 4, we get a Harvester for next turn, set Torrential Tribute, set Urgent Schedule, go to end phase, activate Bullet Train, add back the Metal Cruncher, pass. My opponent draws, he goes Scout Buggy, I Ash, and he concedes. Yeah, anticlimactic game 1. So then we go to game 2. And my hand is interesting here. So he's going first this time. I'm going to end up ashing his Sting the Poison, but it ends up he actually has Insect Imitation to summon the Scout Buggy. So this is bad. So go Scout Buggy into Scout Buggy, and then Armor Horn, and then Armor Horn extra normal summon Eris the Rapid Fire, then go into Pico Felina, and then attach the Resonance Insect, and then Pico Felina, draw a card. He ends up getting the Scale Palmer. And then we're going to link into an Invincible Atlas, and then we're going to add Sting Lancer, and actually going to bottom deck the Ash Blossom. And the Sting Lancer affected the counter trap Flying Sting, and then Invincible Atlas is going to summon a second Scale Bomber. He's going to overlay for Cicada King, activate Beat Trooper formation to summon back the Armor Horn, set Flying Sting, pass. Okay, so I'm going to normal summon the Harvester here. He's going to Cicada King. Like, okay, that's fine. And then Cicada King effect to summon a Scale Bomber. And I'm going to activate Dozer. He's going to negate. I set Trap Trick and I pass. So then he's going to activate Cicada King after he switches to defense mode. I'm going to activate Trap Trick to cycle through a Torrential Tribute. I'm going to Torrential Tribute on end step. And then I'm going to activate a couple things here. First, the Beat Trooper formation, get a token, and then Resonance Insects to get Sting Lancer. He's going to bottom deck my Dozer. Then Sting Lancer effects add the Flying Sting. And then Twin Bow, summon Twin Bow. Then Invincible Atlas to increase his attack to 5,000 and go in for lethal. So we end up losing our game 2. And finally, we're down to game 3. And I'm going first. And I get a pretty good hand here. So I normal summon the Metal Cruncher, activate Metal Cruncher effect, chain Derek Crane. We're going to summon the Derek Crane, and then we're going to get a Harvester this time. Then we're going to activate Dozer, tribute the Metal Cruncher, summon it, and Trencher. Then we're going to overlay for Stormer, and then activate Stormer effect. We're going to add that Bullet Train. Then we're going to Bullet Train. Then we're going to go into Dozer, and then Ballista, and then we're going to Trencher here for a Brutal Dozer, sorry, Goliath, and then we're going to link those two off for an Anger Knuckle, and then we're going to overlay for a Dora, set Torrential Tribute, pass. This start off with a Primitive Butterfly, and then you're going to activate Scale Bomber, and then we're going to destroy the Scale Bomber on the resolution of that. Then he's going to Beat Trooper formation, summon back to Scale Bomber. I choose Torrential Tribute right now. He gets a token, normals a Scale Bomber, and goes Multiplication Advance. I get into a panic here. He goes Pico Felina, go into Resonance Insect, activates the Papillon, and he ends up actually searching out a Kaiju that he can barely beat over, and then I end up actually having the Bullet Train on end step to add the Brutal Dozer back to my hand. I end up top decking a Fortress. We're going to activate Harvester. He's going to activate Scale Bomber to destroy. He's desperate right now, but I end up having the Fortress, and then I can activate the Brutal Dozer, tribute the Fortress, to summon the Hit and a Tunneler. Then we're going to link off into a Goliath, and then activate Riverstormer, summon from the graveyard, and attach the Goliath. Then we can activate Riverstormer again to search out the Citadel and summon the Fortress again. And then we go Anger Knuckle. Now we have it on the field. and the Tunneler effect now can finally activate to draw 2 cards, 2 urgent schedules. Yeah, very funny. So then we can activate Trencher, go into Harvester, nuke the board, go into Goliath. We don't have game just yet. We are so close to game. He draws. He gets Scout Buggy. The normal summon Scout Buggy. I'm choosing to activate this just so I can save life points to get Bullet Train. He's going to summon Scout Buggy, and I get to attach the Earth Slicer. It can't be destroyed by card effects. He's going to try for a draw, and he doesn't get it. That was my round. No, my tournament duel versus Beat Trooper. It ended up in a win. So yeah, all in all, I am very happy with the way the deck performed against Beat Trooper. Beat Trooper's a really cool deck. I like the looks of it. I hope that they get more support in the future because like I really want it to be good. So far, it's looking great, but yeah, that was my tournament experience. Am I disappointed that it ended early? Yes, I am. But did I have a good time? Yeah, that was my first ever tournament participation ever. Like, that was my first time, and I ended up winning. So, well, technically it was a win by technicality, but I still won with 75 people. So to like about the 74 other people who are out there right now that may be listening to this video that may end up have been one of the winners of the Chalislime Monthly Australian August edition. I tip my hat to you. Congrats on the win. So yeah, that was my tournament journey. Yeah, sure. Is it like anything remarkable? Not really, because it was only a duel, but I ended up having fun, and technically speaking, I can say that I won a Chalislime Monthly now. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching Digital Duke, and I will see you all next time, and hopefully we actually have a video for you guys for MBT's September 2021 Chalislime Monthly, because I actually get an advance entry for it. Since he felt so bad for everybody that he gave everybody advanced entry that was there. So, guys, when I get the call, I'm definitely going to answer it. And yeah, so look forward to that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.